The warning. The galactic hall of the Dominion block shimmered with polished steel and golden crests, every inch a display of power. Delegates from 24 species sat in elevated tiers, murmuring in amusement as the ancient Droz war veteran was ushered to the center dais. Korthal of Droz walked slowly, cane in hand, his gait stiff with old scars, but his presence commanding. Once a general who'd faced the humans during the First Contact Wars, now he stood in exile, by choice, having seen something the others had not. His leathery gray skin was pulled tight across his high cheekbones, and his eyes glowed a weary yellow. When he spoke, his voice cut through the murmurs like a falling blade. "I fought the humans," he began, voice slow, graveled. "I saw them when they first stepped onto the stars with weapons that burned suns and hearts that would not yield. I fought their men, their ships, their AIs. But you," his eyes swept across the chamber, "you know nothing of what I saw." High Admiral Sryn of the Jexi laughed dismissively. "What, that they fight hard? So do we all, old one." Korthal raised a clawed finger. "You misunderstand. I don't speak of their armies. I speak of their women." A chuckle rippled through the tiers. The Speaker of the Council leaned forward, amused. "Women? Are we to fear Terran mothers and lovers now?" Korthal slammed his cane down. The room hushed. "You should," he hissed. "The men will fight you. The women will end you." A rustle moved through the gallery. Some shifted uncomfortably. Others smirked. But Korthal pressed on. On Zalera 4, it was a human woman, an unarmed medic, who led the last survivors after our orbital bombardment. She brought down 2 dropships with scavenged explosives and a steel pipe. On Vargon Station, a technician locked herself in our reactor core and overrode our life support just to stall for evac. I watched one of their mothers pull her wounded son through a minefield, using her own body as a shield. When she reached us, she had one arm left and still held a grenade. The silence now was uneasy. They're not just fighters. They are creators, protectors, destroyers. They do not break. They become fire when you hurt what they love. "But what's your point?" Admiral Sryn sneered. "That we should treat them differently?" "Yes," Korthal snapped. "You do not harm Earth's women. Not in raids. Not in war. Not by mistake. If you do, they will not respond with war. They will respond with annihilation." The Jexi scoffed. "You sound like you've gone soft, Droz. We do not coddle enemy civilians." Korthal turned his back on them, growling low. "Then remember this moment when your skies turn red." 2 weeks later, in the icy valleys of Saren 3, the Galactic Empire launched a precision raid on a quiet Terran outpost. They struck hard and fast. No warning, no declaration. The colony was a civilian research hub, mostly composed of women and families. It was a message, a show of dominance, aimed at undermining Terran morale. The invaders executed several scientists in front of children. Others were taken for interrogation. A single shuttle escaped, badly damaged, barely making it to a nearby relay moon. From that craft came a scrambled, broken message. "This is Saren, free attack, they're taking them," children crying. "Not the women, please don't." Then silence. The footage reached Earth's high command within the hour. President Amira Chun, former field medic of the Second War and now Earth's supreme civilian authority, stood at the edge of the council war room. Her hands trembled, not from fear but fury. The room held no debate, no committee votes. The screen above showed frozen images of bodies in the snow, of scorched labs, of terrified faces behind cracked helmets. She spoke only once. "Prepare Project Thorn, and find me every woman who's ever sworn the Terran oath." A pause. "The Empire has forgotten what we are. Let us remind them." Back in neutral space, Korthal sat alone in his chamber, watching the news stream flicker with early reports. Retaliation authorized, mobilization underway, Earth's Black Ops divisions activated. He closed his eyes. "You were warned," he whispered to no one. Outside his window, the stars shone coldly, indifferent perhaps. But Earth was no longer indifferent, and neither were its women. The oath-bound rise. Deep beneath the ice plains of Europa Base, hidden from the eyes of most of Earth's population. The chamber of the Oathbound stirred for the first time in decades. The circular vault, sealed since the end of the Second Galactic War, now lit up with crimson emergency lights and the blue glow insignia of the Terran Defense Directive. President Amira Chun stood before the terminal in full command regalia, her face emotionless. A technician handed her a biometric scanner. She placed her hand on it without ceremony. By Earth's blood and memory, the Oath is reawakened. The floor rumbled. Steam hissed from ancient vents. Around the perimeter, cryo chambers unlocked with a series of mechanical groans. One by one, armored figures emerged, eyes glowing faintly from neural interface sync-ups. Women of every age and heritage, marked by experience, each one a legend in Black Ops dossiers and banned galactic files. They were known only as Thorn Protocol, Earth's ultimate retaliatory force. Commander Lena Ortez, hair shaved down to bare scalp, scars etched across her temple, was the first to kneel before President Chun. Behind her, more followed. Talia Vance, the ghost sniper of Kilo 7, Sergeant Maitanaka, demolitionist of the Callisto Rebellion, Dr. Helen Mbeki, gene sculptor and combat virologist, and over 100 more. "You've called us," Lena said flatly. "Who did they take?" Chun answered only by gesturing to a floating hollow projection. Footage from Sarin 3, showing broken labs, civilians in cuffs, the bodies of scientists, mothers, daughters, sisters strewn across frozen ground. Lena didn't blink. "Coordinates?" "Already loaded," Chun replied. "Our goal is not deterrence. It's message delivery." "Understood," said Lena, rising. As the Oathbound began suiting up, donning reinforced exo-armor, embedding neural reflex patches, uploading hybrid combat AI partners, Commander Lena turned to her team. "They've touched our kin. They spilled the wrong blood. We don't start wars. We end them." Aboard the TDS Valkyrie, a stealth-class dreadnought capable of phasing past Imperial sensors, the Oathbound prepped for planetary insertion. Lena stared at a dossier on her wrist pad. Sarin, 3 survivors, flagged as missing or dead. Among them, Dr. Sophia Greaves, civilian xenobotanist, and her younger sister. That alone would have made this personal. Across the war room, Talia Vance assembled her sniper rig with the same care an artist might give a masterpiece. "How long until they realize we're not sending diplomats this time?" she muttered. "They'll never see us coming," my answer while packing quantum charges. Overhead, Valkyrie slipped past the Empire's orbital detection arrays using stolen tech Earth had once reverse-engineered from the Jexi. It was poetic justice, using the enemy's arrogance against them. By the time the first planet-side surveillance drone caught an image of Thorn Protocol, it was already too late. The first strike hit Varnok's outpost, a supply hub tied directly to Sarin 3's command chain. Oathbound agents emerged from drop pods in mid-flight, landing without warning on the snowy tarmac in blurs of light and thunder. The local garrison, accustomed to fighting organized infantry, never stood a chance. Lena led the breach team through the central control tower. One guard raised his rifle. She was already behind him, breaking his arm with a twist and putting 2 rounds in his commander's chest before the others could scream. Elsewhere, Helena Mbeki released a custom-designed biovirus, one that only targeted soldiers with specific gene markers known to be enhanced by Empire inoculations. Non-lethal to civilians, fatal to trained killers. Meanwhile, my set demolitions along the perimeter, each explosive tuned not just to destroy, but to collapse supply corridors, freeze-trap hangars, and broadcast encrypted warnings to other colonies. "You heard ours. We dismantle yours." Within 12 hours, 3 more Empire facilities fell. No demands were issued. No peace talks offered. Earth wasn't interested in bargaining. They were sending a simple message. Civilians were off limits. The penalty for ignoring that rule was total precision destruction. On day 2, President Chun gave the only press statement. "We offered peace. They took it and burned our families. The galaxy will now remember why we asked to be left alone." In the galactic core, the Empire's council chamber erupted in chaos. Admiral SRYN visibly shaken, slammed her fist on the table. How did Earth get past 5 layers of orbital defense? Another general pulled up a holofeed showing cloaked entry vectors. They're using old Dro's tech, modded beyond recognition. But it's impossible. They shouldn't have this level of... They do, a voice said coldly. All heads turned. At the back of the room, Korthal stood once more, his cane in hand, his eyes burning. I told you not to harm their women, he said. Now, you will learn what vengeance means in the Terran tongue. The hunt begins. The icy plains of Saren. 3 were no longer silent. Once a quiet research colony, the land was now scorched by retribution. Shattered Imperial gunships smoldered beside blackened structures, and white snow was stained with ash. Yet Earth's wrath had only begun. Deep underground, beneath what remained of the command spire, Commander Lena Ortez moved silently through the shattered corridors. Her armor's adaptive camouflage flickered briefly, matching the stone. Her HUD blinked red, target acquired. This is Ortez. I found the black site. Civilian tags detected. Multiple life signs. Proceeding to breach. Back on the TDS Valkyrie, the command bridge was silent as the message came through. President Chun, watching via a secure uplink, gave a slight nod. Bring them home, she whispered. Bring them all home. Lena pressed her hand against the bio-seal vault. A brief pulse of blue light spread across her palm. The lock resisted for a moment, then hissed open. Inside, the air was cold and stale. Flickering lights revealed rows of Terran women, scientists, engineers, medics, huddled behind a reinforced barrier. Some stood defensively, makeshift weapons in hand. Others were injured. Among them stood Dr. Sophia Greaves, eyes wide as she saw Lena step through the door. Lena, she whispered. Lena's voice cracked just a little. I'm here, Soph. You're safe now. While recovery units worked to extract survivors, the rest of Thorn Protocol prepared for Phase 2. Eliminate the chain of command responsible for Saren 3. Talia Vance adjusted the scope of her long-range rifle as she lay prone on a rocky ridge, high above Citadel Virex, the Empire's regional command center. Through the lens, she saw their next target, General Valek, one of the officers who'd greenlit the Saren 3 assault. Target confirmed, she whispered. Clear shot in 10. Next to her, Sergeant Maitanaka prepared a shockwave drone meant to detonate moments after the shot, creating chaos and smoke for their insertion team to strike. Make it count, Mai said. Always do, Talia replied. The shot rang out like a thunderclap. Through the lens, Valek's skull exploded into a mist of crimson. Instant kill. A second later, the drone dropped from orbit, slamming into the courtyard with a concussive blast. The Citadel's defenses scrambled, too late. From the rooftops, Helena Mbeki and her infiltration unit descended, cutting through guards with surgical precision. Within minutes, Virex's central command was a crater. News of the assassinations spread like wildfire through the Empire's channels. Entire colonies went dark, refusing to relay orders. Garrisons scrambled to relocate command posts underground or off-world. But it was no use. Earth wasn't waging a war. They were executing a hunt. Surgical, relentless, unmerciful. Empire propaganda tried to paint Thorn Protocol as terrorists. But survivors of Saren 3 began transmitting their testimonies across independent space. They didn't just rescue us. They came for us. They remembered us. Suddenly, neutrality zones and fringe systems began declaring loyalty to Earth, or at least refusing to assist the Empire. Even among some alien species, dissension brewed. In the Outer Rim, the Dro's coalition held an emergency vote. Korthal stood once more before their own High Council. I warned the galaxy what would happen if we allowed harm to come to Earth civilians. Now, Earth responds not with conquest, but justice. Can we say the same? By the time the vote concluded, the Dro's officially declared neutrality and severed military ties with the Galactic Empire. Meanwhile, back on Earth, President Chun addressed the world. She stood not in a war room, but before a sea of civilians at the Unity Plaza, where statues of explorers and diplomats once stood. The women of Saren 3 were not soldiers. They were scientists, mothers, daughters. We built our peace to protect them. When that peace was violated, Earth did not choose war. We chose memory. We remembered every life taken. And now, the stars will too. Cheers roared, not of joy, but of solidarity. Commander Lena Ortez watched the broadcast from the medical bay aboard the Valkyrie. Beside her, Sophia lay resting, bandaged and weak, but alive. Still the same old fire in her, Sophia said with a faint smile. Lena nodded. She's just getting started. A comms officer approached. Ma'am, we've intercepted encrypted chatter. The Empire's leadership is evacuating from Core Sector Delta. New orders. Lena stood slowly. We follow. No safe harbor. No mercy. She turned to the wall where the names of the dead from Terran 3 had been engraved digitally. Not until every one of them is avenged. In the depths of Imperial space, panic gripped the Senate. An aide burst into the chamber of Emperor Viral, voice trembling. My lord, 5 more governors have gone dark. Our own people are beginning to. The Emperor rose, cutting him off. Silence. He walked to the window, looking out into the stars. We should have listened to the droves. This is no war. This is retribution. He stared at the stars. And for the first time in 1,000 years, the Emperor of the Galactic Empire felt fear. The reckoning storm. The Terran dreadnought Valkyrie hovered in silent orbit above Duran Prime, the Empire's last fortified bastion in the core sector. Below, the once proud capital planet, crowned in platinum towers and golden skies, was on full military lockdown. Entire moons had been converted into defensive arrays. AI-controlled fleets patrolled with shoot-on-sight protocols. And yet, Thorn Protocol had arrived. Inside the Valkyrie's war chamber, holographic projections of enemy formations rotated around Commander Lena Ortez as she briefed the team. Every soldier present had fought through the fires of the Empire's past atrocities. This mission, however, was not one of escape or rescue. It was termination. Duran is the seat of power behind the Terran 3 massacre, Lena began, voice cold and even. Intelligence confirms High Executor Trellin is stationed planetside. His signature authorized the strike against civilians. He dies today. Talia Vance leaned forward. And the Emperor? We let him watch. The silence that followed was more powerful than any war cry. Each oath-bound operative nodded. No one asked about retreat protocols. There would be no retreat. On Duran Prime, High Executor Trellin stood inside the Obsidian Spire, the most secure facility in the Empire, surrounded by elite royal guards. His skin was pale, his gills twitching, a sign of stress for his aquatic-blooded species. They won't reach us, his advisor insisted. Not here. Trellin remained quiet, watching the horizon. They said the same on Virex. They said it on Terran 3, and now they're dead. The advisor hesitated. Even so, this is the heart of the Empire. Suddenly, the sky cracked. A thunderous sonic boom echoed across the city as orbital drop pods pierced the clouds, trailing flames and smoke. The Oathbound were descending. Raise all defenses. Trellin screamed. Activate the Spire's purge grid. Sirens wailed. Anti-air batteries rotated skyward. But the pods did not follow predictable paths. Each one twisted mid-fall, guided by AI-augmented inertial dampeners, avoiding targeting arrays by nanoseconds. Thorn Protocol struck like divine judgment. Lena's pod landed hard atop the spire itself. Before the structure could respond, she'd already activated her magnetic gauntlets and scaled aside, blowing through a reinforced entry hatch. Inside, guards opened fire, but their rounds bounced off her reinforced armor plating. Lena cut them down with precision. Her rifle barked only once per life taken. Below, Helena Mbeki deployed a targeted viral override in the city's defense systems. Lights across command screens went dark. Automated turrets deactivated. Firewalls burned. My Tanaka's charges began detonating in sequence, collapsing key support towers that fed into the Spire's grid. The planet's capital was now running on backup systems, and time was running out. Inside the Obsidian Spire's inner sanctum, High Executor Trellin ran. His guards tried to hold the line. They died. He took a private lift to the Emperor's throne level, hoping to beg for emergency extraction. When the doors opened, the throne chamber was empty, except for a single Terran woman waiting in the shadows. It was Talia Vance, her sniper rifle now slung in favor of twin plasma daggers. "Executor Trellin," she said, stepping forward, "your sentence is long overdue." He reached for his comlink. She severed his hand in one smooth movement. Above the chamber, Lena breached the upper levels and found the Emperor, alone, hands behind his back, staring into a hologram of Earth. "You came," he said quietly. Lena raised her rifle. "This isn't your execution. That belongs to history." The Emperor turned, and, for the first time, there was no arrogance in his voice. Only weariness. "I underestimated humanity. I thought the strength was in your machines, but it was in your memory." Lena nodded. "We remember everything." She didn't shoot him. Instead, she tapped her comms. Broadcast the surrender. The Valkyrie amplified Lena's message across every system the Empire controlled. "This is Commander Lena Ortez of the Terran Defense Directive. The Obsidian Spire has fallen. The architects of the Saren, 3 Atrocity, are dead. Earth has no more words. Let this stand as memory. We do not start wars. We end them." Across the galaxy, Empire-held systems began defecting. Colonies declared independence. Resistance groups long thought buried surged forward, now fighting under the banner of Earth's example. Dro's leaders convened again and formally expelled the Empire from the Galactic Council. For the first time in living memory, the Empire's fleet began to retreat inward. Not to regroup, but to hide. The Empire had not just been defeated militarily. It had been shamed. Back on Saren 3, reconstruction had begun. Lena stood beside Sophia, watching as new facilities were raised, bearing the names of those lost. "Will they ever try again?" Sophia asked. Lena shook her head. "They won't dare. Not after what we showed them." Nearby, children played in the snow. Scientists walked freely again. The scars remained, but they no longer bled. President Chen's final words echoed across the new memorial stones. "Let the stars remember that Earth does not forgive the silence of injustice. Let them remember the women of Saren 3. Let them remember us."